What is going on, my friends? Mike Walker here, another episode of TWC Talks podcast. I'm glad you're joining us today. Today's topic is really around the concept of navigating the peaks and valleys of personal growth. You know, regardless of where you are in your personal journey, especially in the entrepreneurial space, personal growth obviously is a mantra. It's a common thread. It's something that you should obviously be pursuing. I think we can all safely say that that's a basic concept. But what I want to share with you today are three simple truths that are imperative to embrace and make sure that you have absolute clarity on as you navigate new levels of growth. You know, it's one thing to find a new benchmark, a new peak, if you will, in your journey, but then what, right? Once you've found a peak and you're in an environment where you've never been before, the ability to actually stay there and have lasting power at that new level and make that your actual baseline becomes imperative. And that's not always easy to do. And so as you navigate your way farther and farther up the mountain, you're going to find yourself into some rarefied air, and the circles and the networks that you have, the people around you are probably going to become fewer and fewer. A lot of the most successful people in the world will typically find that their networks, their social circles can actually start to get smaller. And when I say that, I mean their actual core group, right? Like obviously as you reach fame or legacy status, then naturally your network probably increases in size, but the value and the depth of those relationships can actually become shallower over time because you're spread out. But if you really look at it, a lot of the most successful people will have just a very small core group around them, and the choices of that core group are imperative. And so I want to share with you today just three simple truths. This will be a really quick one, but let's make sure that you are embedding these into your brain, into your subconscious, and most importantly, into your daily routine, so that you can navigate these peaks and valleys that inevitably are experienced by all of us as we continue on our way finding personal fulfillment and success, whatever that means to us as individuals. All right. So let's dive right into it. Number one, the first truth here is resilience. You must be willing to experience setbacks. You know, I say it all the time. If you're not falling down, you're not trying hard enough, right? Like you must be willing to experience setbacks and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know, over the years, I've had the opportunity to mentor a lot of entrepreneurs along the way, and whether they be brand new startups or been in the game for decades as well. Either way, if they're entering a new space, it's always imperative to understand that you must be willing to fall down. If you have not taken a hit recently, you can get used to not getting hit, and that can make you fragile. And so I want to encourage you that you must get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And one of the easiest ways to kind of navigate this and just wrap your brain around it is that uneasy feeling. You know, if you go out and try something new, you feel a little bit awkward. You're like, oh man, this is obviously not something I'm used to doing. And you kind of fumble around. It'd be like if you've never ice skated before and you put yourself on skates. Let's use that visual analogy, right? You can just immediately imagine what somebody looks like when they're trying ice skating for the first time, right? Kind of have like airplane wing arms and they're kind of like shuffling along. It's very, very obvious that they are outside their comfort zone, right? And depending on your personality and just how you operate internally, that can either be very uncomfortable, like you don't like feeling like that and outside your element, or maybe you don't care. And again, that's just going to it's just going to come down to your personal traits. But either way, you do need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and actually having that uneasy feeling like, wow, this feels a little outside my comfort zone. When we push ourselves out into the fringes of our comfort zone, that is where growth is found. And so we really need to start associating that uneasy feeling as a positive signal. Our brain naturally is going to use that as a warning sign, like, whoa, you're outside your comfort zone, danger, danger. But the reality is, as entrepreneurs, as people that are looking for new levels of personal growth and success, we need to start attributing that uneasy feeling as a positive signal. And so my encouragement to you today is think back, give yourself a few minutes and just think, when was the last time that I felt very uncomfortable about whatever it was that I was trying to achieve that day? If you're in sales, maybe it's picking up the phone for the first time and you're like, wow, this is really weird, or knocking on doors, right? And you're walking up to houses or buildings or, businesses, whatever it may be. And you're like, wow, this feels really intense, and your brain is firing at you like, wow, danger, watch out. This is uncomfortable. This is uneasy, retreat. And yet in reality, that is where your new level of growth is going to come from, on the fringes of your comfort zone. So there's a psychological phenomenon called post-traumatic growth. And it's pretty simple to understand. It's a lot like what would be attributed to, say, if you break a bone in your body and then that bone heals. Well, where it heals, where it blends and fixes itself is actually stronger because of that healing process, right? And it's the exact same thing for our psychological components. When we break those different areas of our uncomfort zones, they actually become stronger over time. And so I just encourage you, get yourself outside that comfort zone, and inevitably you'll find yourself stronger because of it, right? Going to the gym, you don't show up to the gym and then you're surprised that the weights are heavy, right? So same thing with when we're pursuing our different, goals and the different projects that we may have in front of us. Those things should feel heavy at first, but if we continue to work at them, then naturally over time, they won't feel as heavy. And then we're going to have to do what? Go find some heavier weights, right? Go get uncomfortable again. And so what got you here will not get you there. And so be okay with the idea that you're going to need to get uncomfortable. Thomas Edison, Abraham Lincoln, Michael Jordan, Steve Jobs, all of these. I mean, just it doesn't take long to study any notable person of history, and you'll see that they fell down multiple times along the way, but they were just willing to keep going and keep getting back up. And so the greater the heights that you're pursuing, the greater the falls you must be willing to experience along the way. Okay, so it's like a pendulum. If you want to swing real high on the success side, you need to be willing to lose sometimes along the way. Otherwise, you simply won't have that inverse effect. So that's number one, resilience. Number two, visualization. You must see it in your mind before you can hold it in your hand. This is a big one. It's imperative that you visualize what you want regularly and with as much detail as you possibly can. If you can't clearly and articulately describe what it is that you're going after for yourself, you're simply just not going to hit it. You can't hit a target you can't see. And so what I always encourage people to do, as basic as it may seem, common sense isn't necessarily common practice. You must pull it from the ether of thought and actually write it down in its physical form. Pull it from the ethos of the space, the energetic fields that are out there that we're all operating on, from a frequency standpoint. Pull it down, distill it down into actual written form. Force your brain through that process, because there's so many people that have amazing ideas bouncing around in their mind, but they never actually formulate it clear enough and put it down into written form to actually put it into a physical format where they can then hold it in their hands and go, yep, this is it. This is the map, right? That's why we even have maps in the first place. Where am I now and where do I want to go? And then what are the steps along the way? You must do that. And I know it's so basic, but if you ask people, it's pretty surprising how few people have actually done this with absolute clarity. This is what I want. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm striving for. This is what I'm willing to push through. And this is my why, so that I can get to the other side and find myself to where I want to go. All right. So pull it from the ether of thought and distill on paper. This is a big one, visualization. And then lastly, number three, your peer group. You must surround yourself with people that share your beliefs and support your vision. A mentor of mine years and years ago, he's an older gentleman, and it always just stuck out with me, partly because this is kind of funny sounding, but the truth is there, and I'll share it with you today. And he said, Mike, you can't be scratching around in the dirt with the chickens if you want to be flying with the eagles. And I still kind of chuckle at that, but the reality is it's so true. You will absolutely need to surround yourself with people that have been there, done that, and been ahead of you, ideally. At the very least, people that are there with you, pushing through and finding their own path. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to want exactly what you want, but they must share the same concepts, the same ethos around how they operate and what they're willing to achieve, including the idea of resilience, visualization, et cetera, et cetera. And this is why it's so critical and why we push here at the Wealthy Consultant about events. Like, you got to get yourself in the room. Yes, you can watch videos. Yes, you can listen to audios. Yes, you can read a book. That's great. But you've got to get yourself in the room physically. We're energetic beings, right? You need to rub elbows and be amongst people that are, like I said, going the same direction that you are on an energetic level. And so we have these live events that we do. We call them fly-ins for our clients every single month. We're doing quarterly events that even are open to the public. I mean, there's so many reasons why and so many value propositions for getting in the room and mixing it up with people that have, achieved what you're wanting to achieve. And so my encouragement to you today is, whether you join us at one of our events, you can go to wealthyconsultant.com/events and check us out and see what's going on. or at the very least, make a point to surround yourselves in a positive network of people that can help push you forward. Because if you're going about it yourself, you can be agile by yourself, right? If you're going solo, you can go quick and you can move and pivot quickly. That's great. But if you want to go far, you need a team. You need a team of people around you that can help push you through. And it's really amazing what happens when you can start to draw from and borrow other people's confidence. In fact, we were just at an event, at one of our events in Nashville, and someone brought up the topic of confidence. They said, I know what I want. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm pushing for, but it's just so big that I've never been there before. And I don't have that confidence. And so the whole topic came up about borrowing our confidence, because there was multiple people in the room that had easily done what they were trying to do and had even exceeded it by far, just because they were farther along in their journeys. And so the idea came like, look, borrow from their confidence, connect with them, talk with them, spend time with them, build a relationship with them. And what will happen is you'll kind of be able to draw and assimilate their success and their confidence until you have your own. And it's a really powerful concept, and something that you really, honestly, it's very difficult to do in any other format than in physical contact with people. It's just the truth. And that's why I brought it up in these 3 truths. All right. So let's recap really quick, and we're going to jet. 3 truths for your personal growth and performance. Number 1, resilience. You must be willing to experience setbacks. Number 2, visualization. You must see it in your mind before you can hold it in your hand. And then lastly, number 3, your peer group. You must surround yourself with people that share your beliefs and support your vision. All right. Hopefully you'll join us at one of our events, guys. It'd be great to see you there. But either way, have a blessed rest of your day. And I hope that these notes help you on your own personal journey. We'll see you on another episode of TWC Talks podcast. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.